work tonight. Let's see.
Okay.
Okay, it says it is. We'll see what happens later. I'll be right back. While everybody's loading, I'll be right back. All right. I'm back. It's time to roll. Good evening, everybody. This is Dale M. with Gardner Webb, Mels 603. This is our last session of the season. I've enjoyed having everybody in class, all the feedback, all of the work. I've enjoyed reading all of your work. I hope that you've learned something. I've done the best I could do. So if you didn't, I guess that's on you and me. But I've done all I could do. So I hope that you've learned something. I appreciate everybody playing along and getting your work done. I don't think we have anybody that's too terribly far behind. I'd like to have all of your work done by Monday the 7th, but you have until the 11th if you need it, next Friday. No class next week, so you can catch up anything that you haven't done. Points wise, you need 3,000 points to get an A, and that's what I expect out of all of you. So looks like we're recording tonight, or at least, again, I hope we are. I apologize for not. So I'm going to recover a couple of things from last week, since last week's session. Either I didn't turn the button on or it didn't record, one or the other. So quickly, I want to cover, let's see, new share. Come on, you can do it. The template, you'll have to do finish your cap, and I'm going to cover it briefly again, but you're going to do your PSYOP this summer in order to, because we have such a short period of time in the summer, you're going to have basically 6 weeks of summer class and everything's going to be due. The soft deadline will be around July 1st. The hard deadline will be my birthday, July 14th. If your work comes in after that, I can't get you on the completer list. The completer list went in, what's today? May the 2nd. The completer list went in for graduation on May 12th. The completer list went in yesterday, and then I negotiated it all with the registrar today, and we're done. And so if you know, the drop deadline is 10 days prior to graduation, even for people who are out on licensure like yourselves. And so the drop deadline is going to be like July 14th. I'm sure I'll negotiate the final list with them on Monday the 16th for graduation. It's a little bit shorter time in the summer. So to that end, you have this. And if you look in red, I tell you where to go to find all this stuff. All you have to do is go and copy and paste these things, and it will be your PSYOP. the hard part is knowing where to look for them. And since you don't have time to sit and scratch your head all summer or some other part of your anatomy, I've made this list for you. And if you will pay attention and just read what's in red, it will tell you exactly what you need to do. You will need to write, you don't have to write any competencies in the CAP. Please remember that. There are no competencies to be written in the CAP, but you have to write them all in the PSYOP. And so make sure that you get that done. So again, this is in our shell. You have this document, you will need it. Your internship shell with Dr. Stedman will stay open during the time. Please remember that Blackboard will be down from the 12th to the 17th for everybody. And don't depend on it being back up until about that Saturday the 19th, because everybody will rush back in on the 17th and they'll crash it again. And then they'll have to fix all the stuff that went wrong with it. So, but it will be back up, hopefully 17th or a little bit later, it'll be back up. So from the 12th to the 17th, Blackboard will be down, but Dr. Stedman's shell will be up. You'll continue with your peer review and just keep moving right on. I'm always available. You know, I work every day. I'm always available if you need me. Email, call me, we'll Zoom, do whatever we need to do. So it's not like I'm leaving you. You will have Dr. Stedman again in the summer as your clinical coach. He'll stay with you again. I forget who you're going to have as your instructor. I could look. Let me see. I'm probably already in Blackboard. Let me look and see who you're going to have. But you will have Dr. Stedman. You will continue to have his access to his clinical shell, and you will continue to have him as your coach to work with you on your work. Let me see if I can find this. Oh, come on now. All right. Okay. So according to my list, come on. Slow. Here it comes. It's hiding behind y'all's picture. Here it comes. Okay. So right now, if you're in 603 with me in the O2 section, you will have Dr. Robertson this summer. And again, Dr. Stedman will be your coach. If you are with me in the 03, in the 08 section, again, you'll have Dr. Stedman and you'll have Dr. Rebecca Wilson. She's a sitting principal in Gaston County. Dr. Robertson is a retired principal from Mecklenburg County. But those are the two people. Again, the 02 section has Dr. Robertson and the 08 section has Dr. Wilson, but you both have Dr. Stedman. And I'm always available because I'll be teaching 603 on Wednesday night as always, seeing how we have nobody else to teach law except me, so that's kind of where I am. So, but you know that I'm available. They do their Zooms at different times, but you know, this summer is mostly about just knocking out your evidence artifacts. You'll have some activities, some discussion boards to write, but it's all on leadership. But you'll enjoy both of those are fun people. You'll enjoy them. Dr. Robertson's in my age bracket, but Dr. Wilson's much younger and much more hip and exciting, so you'll have a good time with her. All right, so that's that. Quickly, I want to go over if I can get this to move. No, that's not. Is everybody still there? Yeah, it dropped to me. Let's see, make sure it's still recording. Yeah, I guess it's still recording. Let me find, yep, it's still recording. All right, share screen. Scale handbook. Here we go. Quickly. Worst decision or the worst mistake you can make in doing the CAP is not reading the directions and understanding that these 5 areas that are required right here have to stay in each of the tasks all the way through the CAP. Too many times I see an analysis of these 5 areas, and you can add more to these, like managing student contact or parent and community involvement. You can add more to these, but you can't not have these 5. And then the second problem that I see is this set of recommendations. I'll see a set of recommendations, but it does not match these 5. I should see at least one recommendation for each of these areas to improve them. Yeah, this is not a joke. This is not, we're not trying to deceive you. These 5 stay with you in all 4 tasks. Do not look at them in the task 1 and then jump on to what you want to do next. No. If you want to add something to these 5, that's fine, but you can't delete these 5, or you can't substitute something else for one of these 5. These 5 have to stay. All right. You're going to do a needs assessment. The needs assessment is basically you copy those 5 the items that are low, the 5 items that are low, one from each of those areas at least, and you survey monkey those back out to your students, to your staff members, and say, are these things really low? And then you find out that they are, and then you do your qualitative work in task 2, where you go out and you interview and observe people to find out what we could do to fix them. You made some recommendations that these are the things we need to address. Then more specific, you ask people what specific activities should come out of those recommendations? What should we actually do? And then in task 3, you'll look at these things. And then as you look at these, it puts your school in context, so you'll know these specific activities fit our school. For example, I was principal at a school we'd have found out on time we found out teachers, one of the principals I was principal, teachers didn't have enough planning time because they were having to cover classes, and it wasn't by my choice. And so if you'd have recommended getting parent volunteers to cover classes, that wouldn't have been appropriate in our neighborhood. Most of our people couldn't pass a background check to become school volunteers. They could come and visit their kids, but they couldn't volunteer or cover a class in our school. So that wouldn't be an appropriate idea to get parents to cover classes in that school. It would be in others. I worked in a couple others where that would have been a good thing, to have parents come and volunteer to cover classes if we couldn't get a substitute that day or if we were shorthanded. But not in the junior high where I was principal. Oh no, we wouldn't. We were afraid to let them in parent night, much less to cover classes. So that's the whole notion here. You're putting all these things together and you're getting an idea what your school is like, and that would lead you to specific activities that would work and be appropriate for your school. So you come up with a list of recommendations which include specific activities, and then you develop a plan, just like we always do. A cultural advocacy plan where you come up with specific activities, use that graphic organizer of things that we're going to do to address at least those 5 specific areas of the TWC to improve, time, facilities, resources, empowerment, and school leadership. That, I should see at least one specific activities that addresses each one of those 5 areas. Now, if you want to add managing student conduct or parent involvement, that'll be fine. But you can't forego the 5 that we've already done. So that's the CAP. Any questions anybody has on that? So I see one popping up now. In what regard are we addressing conflict resolution in task 3? There's 2 different ways to look at conflict resolution in task 3. That's a good question. There's 2 different ways. Part of the conflict is we need to fix this, but we don't have the type school where we can this would be the smart fix for this problem. But the conflict comes, just like I was just referring to, the conflict comes from we can't let parents do that. That would be the safest, smartest, easiest fix, but we can't. And so we have to figure out a resolution of some sort. We need this problem fixed. We need classes covered. We can't get substitutes, but we can't use parents. That's a conflict. That would be the next logical step, but we can't use parents to cover. What could we do? Well, maybe we could go out and find some community members who could do this. Maybe we could partner with a bank or some other organization, and their people could go through the background check for volunteers, and we could utilize them. These corporate people always say they want to help us and support us. What about covering some classes? Something like that. That's one. The other conflict resolution, you can add managing student conduct. You could add that one and approach it that way. I would prefer that you looked at managing conflict from, this is what we need to do, this is who we are, and that solution doesn't fit our problem. We need to find alternative. We have a conflict here with what would be the easiest thing to do. Let's find something else. Or you could look at it from managing student conduct. What are we going to do to fix all these conflicts that we're having between students and staff all over our building? You could look at it from that direction. Should we create a graphic organizer? I like graphic organizers. I like, here's the item, here's what the TWC said in column 2. Column 3 has what the survey results, and column 4 has when you went out and talked to people, and you kind of summarize your entire data set, and it has the specific item from time, facilities, resources, leadership, and empowerment. It has the lowest item. Okay, here's the item in column 1. Column 2 has what TWC said, 50% to its problem or it's unsatisfactory. Here's what, when I surveyed again, this is what percentage said, yeah, it's still a problem. When I went out and talked to people, these are the things, the feedback that they gave me, some possible solutions. I like that. I'm wondering if task 1 is due Sunday. No, task 1 is due by the time that we finish up. I'd like it by Monday, but you've got until Friday. Try to get it in by Monday if you can. If you can't, that's fine. You've got until Friday the 11th. So that would be, you've got some time. Just remember, don't Blackboard shuts down on the 12th. So you can't do peer review and do some of the other things, and so it's got to be in by then. But don't involve your classmates too late or beyond. Get it in. This is more for them than me. Don't drag it out all of next week if you can help it, because they probably got some other things they need to work on. So try to get it in by Monday if you can. I mean, there's no penalty if you don't get it in on Monday. This is just, I'm trying to keep you on track. But Friday is the last day, because Blackboard's going to shut down first thing Saturday morning. That's not Dale's option. So you've got some time. But if you can what I have found from my experience, if you can kind of break the seal, if you can get started on task 1 before this semester's over, you can just about knock it out in the time in between semesters, and it goes so much easier. It's not, you don't want to break your rhythm. And you don't want, remembering that we're coming, especially this semester, we're coming up to the end of school here, and you need to get out and do some surveys, and you do some interviews. That won't be allowed once you start review and testing. That won't. So if you wait too late into May, your school administration won't let you do this, and that's why I'm trying to get you to do it. Get started now here at the 1st of May. You probably got about a 2-week window here, or maybe, I know, no more than 3, where you can do this stuff. After that, you're not going to be allowed to do it. So if you can knock it out right quick, you can get it done. But if you wait till on over in May, when review for testing and testing periods comes, you will not do surveying and interviewing people. That won't happen. Next class starts on the official date of summer school is Monday, May 21st. Your instructor will be in touch with you about when your Zoom time will be. I'm trying to remember. I think Dr. Wilson tries to maybe even do hers on a weekend. I don't know. I know Dr. Robertson does his during the week, but they'll be in touch with you about that. since I'm on every night, I have to have, Monday night I do staff development, do faculty meeting for the Mels faculty. Tuesday night I have 601. Wednesday night I have 603. Thursday night I back to 601 again, and then Saturday and Sunday I do 738. So I have a night, and then Sundays I do interns because I've got one that's in a 6-hour time differential, and so I do it after church and before she goes to church on Sunday mornings. We do intern meetings on Sunday afternoon. So that's my normal routine, though. But they kind of look at their schedule each semester and kind of move them around to what fits them. I work every day, so I have a set pattern. So, but they will tell you what they're going to do, and hopefully they'll make it as convenient as they can for you. So that's the cap. All right, last thing, and we kind of broached this last week. We want to kind of look into the future of public education. And let me be clear here. There's nothing wrong with charter schools. There's nothing wrong with private schools. There's nothing wrong with vouchers. I support all types of education. I just want the populace to be educated and get good jobs so they'll pay my Social Security. You understand that how Social Security works. I paid for the people that came before me. You will have to pay for me. Dr. Stedman and I are going to start collecting pretty soon. And we want you all to get good jobs so you can pay our Social Security. Now, the notion here, the problem with when I say this, and I don't mean that there is a problem, the controversy surrounding all these alternative schooling forms is money. That's where the controversy arises. I'm not saying that they're bad. What I'm telling you is there's only so many dollars to go around. When you give out vouchers, that's public tax money. That's money that's going to come straight from public schools. When you give when the local has to fund charter schools, it takes money away from their regular public schools, and that's what the fight is over. It's not that one is inherently bad or worse than the other, or they're all no good. No, it's fighting over money is what the real fight is here, and you need to understand that folks aren't. The argument is not going to be about quality, and that's what bothers me. See, I'm only interested in outcomes and quality. If you can educate a child, that's what I'm interested in. But see, other people have turf and money to protect, and that's why there's such controversial issues. It's not about the actual quality of their program presentation, the content of their curriculum. It's about who gets the money, and that's why they're hot button issues. As I've said, charter schools, state law says that the local only has to give them classrooms, so they give them used mobile units. But the charter schools are suing local districts and said, hey, we want part of that county commissioner money that you're getting per pupil. The state's giving us the per pupil if they're in our building this month, and it's not true. If a kid goes back to the public school, the state money follows him back. But what happens is they want that local money, that per pupil local money that county commissioners are putting into the traditional school system. Charter schools want that. That's why these people don't get along. Private schools want vouchers. They want some of that. They want some of that state money too. Although they're not legally entitled to it, they're trying to get the law changed so that they are. And so that's the notion here is it's all about money and about who gets what. And so the courts have usually disallowed direct state financial support to private and parochial schools. But that doesn't mean that they want it to stay that way. So they're trying to use their political influence and lobbying to get vouchers or which is public money. Those who favor direct public aid to non-public schools base their arguments on the following: freedom of choice, and so here are some of the arguments who favor The charters. Opponents say this is a step backward. It's going back to the days early in our country's history when we had private schools and only the wealthy could afford to be educated. It's usually racially identifiable. There are some other issues. Um, um, and folks are saying it should be based on principle and not economic. But so here are the two sides. The people who support vouchers, and that's what this means: direct public aid to non-public schools. That's vouchers. This is their argument. These are the people who are opposed to vouchers. Now, what I have found during my career, this has been around a while. And then here's the law behind where we are right now that would have to be changed. This is why it's as it is. I always try to give you the law behind these things, and there it is. Um, and basically, it talks about separation of church and state, and a couple more issues about choice, and the arguments, vouchers, tax credits, charter schools. Um, Charter schools are actually independent schools. They might have some state funding, but they fall into that same category as independent schools. Um, and again, these are the issues. These are the argument. This is the law. I pointed out to you before where the state only and the local only has to give them classrooms, and I've pointed out all these things. There is a website, so the controversy. I'm not going to get too deep into it and try to preach a sermon tonight. People have their own opinions. What I will provide you is this. This is the link. Um, North Carolina Department of Public Instruction has an Office of Charter Schools that has a wealth of information about them. They are state supported. They are independent schools, but they are state supported. They do get the per pupil expenditure, but remember, it's a fallacy that all the money comes the first day of school or before school starts. It comes after the first month, and it comes 1/10 at a time. You get paid for that month for the students you have in attendance. So it is not true that if a kid goes to a charter school and stays the first month, that they get to keep all the state money for the year. No, the state money didn't come for the year. And so it does negatively. The problem is it does negatively affect teacher allotment. That's the real issue. If you have 10 kids come back from a charter school and it's past the 20th day, you're probably not going to get another teacher. And that's when they claim, oh, they got all the money. No, they didn't get money. You just didn't get. You got your teacher allotment based on your 20-day total ADM, average daily membership, and somebody else, when those students come back, you didn't get enough to qualify by the state. You got to get 16 more, and you only got 10, so you don't qualify for another teacher. So people take that to mean that the charter school got our money. No, they didn't. They didn't get your money. You didn't qualify for another teacher, and you won't till you get 16 students. You won't qualify for another teacher. So here's a lot of things about it. If you want to know about charter schools, some of you already work in charter schools, may not even know a lot about them in terms of some of these things. And so I encourage you to go to this website. I know South Carolina has a similar one, but this is the North Carolina one. So that's kind of the issues. The big issues facing public education going forward are school choice, vouchers, charter schools, private schools, home schools. Those are all growing avenues. I have proposed to Gardner Webb that we open up a master's degree non-licensure, and to start serving some of those people who work more specifically in those non-traditional public schools.
I mean, if you're in some of these schools, if you're in private schools and out-of-state schools and some charter schools, you don't need a license to practice. You just need the degree. Um, those folks need something different, and I'd like to see us become a provider of that. I'm not sure that they're going to listen to me, but we'll see how that goes. But I don't think we do ourselves a service by fighting among ourselves. We have enough people detracting from us as educators already. I think our time and effort and energy should be spent doing things other than fighting among ourselves. But now that's just my opinion. A lot of people think I'm a heretic and I have disavowed and I have been a traitor to my tribe of public schools by advocating that um, every how we can best educate a child is the right way, regardless of the format. But not everybody agrees with that, but I don't expect them to. If you truly are a professional in this industry, in this business, in this profession, you understand that it's about kids and it's about teaching and learning, and however best that happens, and that parents have confidence in it. That's what's important. Um, an educated populace is the savior of democracy, as we've seen in local in national politics lately. Is that an uneducated populace is not not a good idea for the future of democracy. So if you want to make America strong, we need well-educated children, no matter how you do that. All right, I see I have another question. Richard said to everybody, respect. That's exactly right, Richard. Thank you for that. We need to respect ourselves in our profession, and we're all one tribe, folks. Uh, we're not as different. My wife, early on in our marriage, my wife worked at Union Mills. Um, it was about 4 miles as a crow flies from another school called Mount Vernon, and they had middle school basketball teams, and those people lived 4 miles apart, and they were different sides of the same coin, but you would have thought they were as different as night and day. And those people, every time I'd have to go with her, she was a cheerleading coach. I'd have to go leave my job as principal and go with her to the ball games and escort her out because the people would be fighting in the parking lot. And it was a dirt gravel parking lot there at the gym. And they'd boil the dust up, them out there fighting, the parents out fighting in the parking lot till you couldn't see to get to your car. I have to, try to get my wife and her poor little middle school cheerleaders back to the vehicle, to the van, and get them out of there. And they did it every year, but they didn't understand that you're not advancing yourself by fighting among yourselves. You're not different. You're in the same geographic location. You're 4 miles apart in a very rural area. You're not different. You're just the same. But they couldn't advance their community or their children because they hated, one community hated the other. I've seen that so often. And one of the things that we do is, especially with our athletic and even our academic teams, we're in such competition with the neighboring schools that carries over to where we learn to hate um, part of our own group. Um, that's not smart. We have enough detractors from outside of education trying to knock us down, push us down, not pay our teachers well, take benefits away, that fighting among ourselves doesn't help. I think there's room to accommodate a lot of folks and a lot of different thought patterns and theories and different organizational patterns and organizational setups. I think there's, uh, ever how you want to say it, there's room for everybody. But you've got to open your mind and be respectful. I think Richard's hit the nail on the head. You've got to be respectful of one another. I've tried, for the purposes of these classes that we've had the last couple of semesters, I've seen just as quality work from the charter school people. I've got one that's in 604 that I work with. I was thinking about him today. I've seen just as quality work from charter school people as anybody anywhere else. They're not different than us. They are us. We're all the same bunch. If we would take that tact, I think we'd be a bit better off as an organization, institution, as a profession. That's just my opinion. It's worth what you paid for it, which is nothing. Questions for the good of the group? I'm going to, as people turn their work in, and when you hit the threshold, again, working on the cap that's for your benefit. But when you hit the threshold of 3,000 points, I'm going to go ahead and give you your A. So your grade will be posted as soon as you make your points. I'll probably start posting grades fairly soon. But you got to get your 3,000 points. Some of you are well above that, and that's great. You got to get you 3,000 points. But remember, finishing up the end of the skip and then getting to the cap is all about getting you through this summer, because you've only got about 6 weeks. And it's going to be hard if you wait very late to collect that data that you need to collect on your cap with SurveyMonkey and interviews and observations. You need to get on that. You need to get on that pretty quickly. We've had another good semester. We were with Dr. Stedman last semester and with me this semester, and he's been watching and keeping up with you folks. You'll be with him again this summer. Again, you'll be with Dr. Robertson and Dr. Wilson this summer as your instructor. I have ultimate faith in both of them. I actually hired Dr. Robertson one time, so now that's twice I've hired him, but in the real world. And so I believe him to be quality, and I know him to be quality, and Dr. Wilson as well. She's currently the principal at Ashbrook High School in Gastonia. They're accomplished educators. You will have a really good time with them this summer. You'll have Dr. Stedman backing you up. I'm always available, so everything should be good. Just keep right on rolling. Don't slow down just because there's a break between semesters. Keep on going. If you need me, holler. You know I'm always available. I'll see y'all soon. I've enjoyed this semester. God bless all of you. Good night.